show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Week 2 Vegas spread picks. Let's get this money. Excited going into this week. Last week was my first bad week 1 in 4 years on YouTube. Let's correct it. Let's get to the money. First game, we're going to Miami. We got the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins minus 1.5. Money. Dolphins to win in the cover. Make it a damn money pick. I get the situation. I don't like betting Thursday night primetime games. And also, this Bills team, you can never count them out when they have Josh Allen at quarterback. And I know the Dolphins look absolute rubbish during the first half against the Jags. They were rusty. They weren't able to run the ball, but we saw the fighting spirit that this team had in the second half. And I felt like that Jags matchup was tough for them, but they persevered. And I think the Dolphins offense just makes more big plays than a Bills offense that has 1 and 2 guys. You got Cook and you got Allen. The rest of the guys seem average, pedestrian. And I don't know if that's enough to go into Miami and get the victory. And we talk about Miami and how they fall off at the end of the season. But one thing we shouldn't forget is that they start the season strong. And I think they're going to go hard in the paint in this game. Now, when you look at some of the matchups, obviously the first matchup you think of is how is Buffalo going to cover this Miami receiver set? I mean, it is damn good. And I don't think they will. That's what I think tilts this game. Now, the reason why this isn't a college fund or why I'm not posting on Patreon going crazy is because Tua's velocity was a problem Sunday against the Jags. He's never been a hard thrower. We know that. He's going to lob them. There's going to be some ducks. But I was extremely worried by some of the lack of velocity. But with that being said, I still think it's a money pick. And this Bills team did not look good against Zona, and everyone wanted Zona money line. Everyone wanted Zona against the spread. I said, buy your time, wait in the corner, and when it comes through, when the good opportunity goes by, you pounce, and that's what we're doing. Miami to win in the cover, make it a damn money pick. Good Thursday night game, fellas. Let's go. Next game, we got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Baltimore Ravens. Raiders plus 9.5. I don't know what to do with this one. I don't. Listen, I felt like the Raiders were the better team on Sunday against the Chargers, but that makes it sting worse. When Minshew fumbled, whatever you call that changed the landscape of the game. Too many penalties for the Raiders. I think the Raiders cover here. Ravens win. There isn't a lot of science. This isn't one I want to sink my teeth into. You do think the Ravens are going to be in a little bit of transition. I don't know if we're going to see their A game, their B plus game. Certainly last Thursday, they almost beat the Chiefs playing their C minus game. I think the Ravens win. Raiders score late with a garbage time touchdown to cover. And I just want to say that Raiders receiving core and tight end group was creating an awful lot of separation, and Minshew couldn't find anyone, man. It was bad. Lamar Jackson also banged up in this game. That's why I don't have the Ravens to cover. Next game, we got the New Orleans Saints at Dallas Cowboys. Saints plus 6.5. Cowboys to win in the cover. You can't help but praise the Cowboys for what they did against the Browns. And I'm not taking anything away from them. I think the Cowboys' defensive line is what controls this game against the Saints. That's why I have them to win in the cover. And, you know, the Saints, what they did to the Panthers was impressive, but we have to remember it was the Panthers, and the Panthers just didn't show up. Like, it is rare in this league when a team doesn't show up. And that's what happened. I think the Saints team is in the bottom half of the NFL, and that's being nicely. And I think the Cowboys come out with the momentum and destroy them. And I like the way Dak Prescott looked. And we know the Saints defense can throw you some problems, especially their secondary. Dennis Allen calls good plays and puts them in good position. But I was inspired by the Cowboys' run attack. And if they can do that, they can pound the Saints. I'm going Cowboys to win in the cover. Next game, we got the New York Jets. Rodgers at the Tennessee Titans. Jets -4. Money, money, money. Money. Digging my trench here. Digging my trench. Jets to win in the cover. Make it a damn money pick. I love this. I am salivating like a dog with the steak cooking, and that's how I feel going into this game. Do I like the fundamentals of it? Jets laying 4 with the way their defensive front 7 played against the 49ers. No, I'm not in love with it. But I did watch that full film of the Titans-Bears, and I felt like the Titans were horrendous. Callahan called a very good offensive game for Will Levis, and they were able to run the ball against Chicago's weak front. But it didn't result in much because of Will Levis. And I think this is a bounce back game for the Jets. Now, going to the other side of the ball, yes, the Jets have their struggles on offense. They never really could find rhythm Monday night against the 49ers. I felt like Rodgers looked good. I felt like Garrett Wilson looked elite, and I think that's enough. And the offensive line held up. We have to remember that Jets team did not play in preseason. Rodgers hasn't taken a snap in damn near a year. I think the Jets take care of business here, and I cannot see them losing this game. And I think they win by a touchdown. Jets to win in the cover, make it a damn money pick. There are some interesting matchups with the Jets wide receivers against the Titans secondary. I do wonder where the Titans put L'Jarius Sneed, but we should see the other Jets options step up. Hopefully more Mike Williams involved in the game plan. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Get on Patreon, $5 a month, the best gambling community on the internet. I'll post all my bets there. Link in the description. Next game, we got the Tampa Bay Bucs at the Detroit Lions. Bucs +7. Bucs to cover, Lions to win. And listen, and I live a humble life, but Dan Campbell did afford me a car these last 3.5 years of him covering spreads for us. But I got the Bucs to cover, Lions to win. I just think this is a big point spread. And I know the Commanders secondary is trash, but I have to be honest, I was impressed by the offensive output and the play calling that the Bucs put forth on Sunday against the Commanders. And you do wonder about this Lions defense. I like the front 7, but I felt like the secondary would be much improved. And I know Nakua, I know Matt Stafford, I know Cooper Kupp are no joke. But I did feel like they struggled mightily at times, and that's with Aiden Hutchinson whipping work. And we know this Bucs offensive line can hang with the best of them. Wirfs, we know how good they are. So I think the Bucs cover, Lions to win. Like, I don't think this is going to be a laugher like last year when the Lions blew them out in Florida. Give me the Bucs to cover, Lions to win. I know Dan Campbell, guys. I know you're itching to bet. Just wait another week. The lines will get better. Next game, we got the Indianapolis Colts at the Green Bay Packers. Colts -3.5. When you say Malik Willis, I'm betting the other side. Colts to win in the cover, even with the hook on the road. I don't like the fundamentals. You guys know I'm not high on the Colts going into this year, but we know Shane Steichen's going to be able to generate points on offense. And that Packers defense might have been the biggest letdown of week one. Like, we had the Eagles, but I felt like that Packers defense would be improved after the departure of Joe Barry, but it just wasn't good enough. And one guy that just isn't good enough is Malik Willis. And I don't know how many of you guys have watched this film. I've watched every single regular season snap of Malik Willis, and I'm fading that. I'm not touching that. I want no part of that, even if we think LaFleur is an elite play caller. Give me the Colts to win in the cover. I wanted to bet it, but out of respect for the spread and fundamentals, laying off of it. Next game, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings +6. Vikings to cover, 49ers to win. The big questions here is McCaffrey going to play for the 49ers? Is Sam Darnold going to have Jordan Addison at his disposal? Jordan Addison was vital in the first half in terms of the Minnesota Vikings offense. I got the Vikings to cover, 49ers to win. Now, I do worry about Aya, Debo, Kittle against this Vikings cornerback group. I know they added Stephon Gilmore, but that's really how you want to attack them. But I think the Vikings will be able to move the ball on offense. Sam Darnold looked comfortable, confident, and dare I say, bold. And we also saw Aaron Jones, and that helped the Vikings offense an awful lot with his receiving ability. Now, I do think the 49ers win the game by a field goal, but I really feel like the Vikings are an interesting play. If they weren't my own team, I might have to think about a money pick. Just don't like betting my own team. On Patreon, we had the Vikings last week, but it was desperation. So give me the 49ers to cover. Give me the 49ers to win, Vikings to cover. I think this is a close game, and we have to look at the coaching matchup. And when you face Shanahan, you better have a good coach on the other side of the ball. And I think Kevin O'Connell is a very, very good coach. Next game, we got the Los Angeles Chargers at the Carolina Panthers. Panthers +6.5. Money. Borderline money pick. Panthers to cover. Chargers to win. I get it. No one wants to put their hard-earned money on the line watching Bryce Young attempt to play quarterback in this league. No one wants to do it. I get it. But how many of you guys watched that film, Chargers versus Raiders? Felt like the Chargers were poor. Felt like they were poor in the secondary. Now, Minshew can't exploit that. I'm not expecting Bryce Young to. I felt like the Chargers were poor in the offensive pass game. Felt like they were extremely conservative. Felt like that offensive line wasn't up to snuff, even with all the resources invested in it. And I think that's enough for the Panthers to keep this game close. Do I think the Panthers can win the game? Maybe. Do I think that performance against New Orleans was an admiration? I do. Like, one thing people need to remember, we were spoiled in week one. Blowouts are rare in the NFL. Teams winning by 10 or more points are rare in the NFL. And we are already staring down the barrel of Bryce Young being kicked out of the league and Dave Canales being another Matt Rule. I do think there's a response. I do think the Chargers will struggle going across the country. I do think this Chargers team lacks explosion, and I think they are lower on talent than everyone makes out to be. Now, there isn't a hell of a lot of science here. You can't frame it and say the Panthers just they're churning the corner. Or we saw some brightness coming that maybe we can put our bets on it and think it's going to get better. No, we didn't see anything about that. This is pure fundamentals. The Chargers are not an explosive team, and they cannot be laying this much on the road, even though we know that Panthers home field, a lot of people go in there and do the Dougie in the middle of the field on them after whipping their ass. But we also need to remember our boy Stroud lost there last year. So I think the Panthers cover. Chargers win by a field goal. Next game, we got the New York Giants. Daniel at The Washington Commanders. No names -2.5. No names winning the cover. I watched every single game on Sunday, so you don't have to. I watched them on Monday, the ones I missed. And I felt like Jaden Daniels was the best rookie quarterback, and I think that's enough to beat Daniel Jones. Did I like the way Jaden Daniels was running the rock when the game was decided? No, not really. But his athleticism, his verb is something special, and I think that's enough to be the tipping point in this game. And we look at the Giants. Credit to my Minnesota Vikings for what they did. It was an absolute dismantling and just a proficient performance. But also, we have to look at this Giants team, and I did see a lack of fight. I did see a lack of creativity, and I do see a lack of quarterback. Does anyone want to go to battle for Daniel Jones? Does anyone want to put their body on the line for Daniel Jones? Quick answer, no. Commanders winning the cover. Listen, I don't know how long you can wait, you can hold out until Drew Lock gets a chance to spin it. I don't know. I think Drew Lock's better than Daniel Jones. I know Drew Lock got an injury in the preseason, but we got to get Daniel Jones out of there. Honestly, I am worried about his mental health. I told you guys about 10 days ago, I'm worried about his body language. He's never been a verbose, alpha walking into the room like Dan Campbell or D'Amico Ryans. We get it. It's just some of us aren't that type of guy. I'm not going to play in the fucking NBA. But with that being said, his body language is so bad. He's got the Adderall, eyes oozing. He's just over his head, and he needs a break, man. He needs a break. No names winning the cover. Next game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs. Bengals +6. Fuck the Bengals. If you were on my Instagram, make sure you get on there. I've never seen a more Mickey Mouse production leading up to week 1 than this Jamar Chase, T. Higgins thing. Guys don't want to play. Bengals don't want to give contracts. I'm going Bengals to cover, Chiefs to win. It's just when the Chiefs are laying this many points throughout history, they normally don't cover, and I don't want to bet Chiefs games. And honestly, the way this Bengals team is looking, I don't even want to see him. I don't want to hear about him. And last week was the example of the Mickey Mouse operation. I got the Bengals to cover, Chiefs to win. On the Friday call-in show, I will engage more with this game, but we just don't know. That T. Higgins injury, I think it was fake because they screwed him with the franchise tag, and then he says he doesn't want to play, and Jamar Chase says he doesn't want to play, and I don't really blame them because the Bengals are cheap. But at the end of the day, it's a Mickey Mouse operation. Zach Taylor never starts the seasons fast. Bengals to cover, Chiefs to win. No science. Please don't bet this. Next game, we got the Seattle Seahawks at the New England Patriots. Hawks -3.5. I got the Pats to cover, Hawks to win. Now, I wasn't encouraged by what I saw out of Geno Smith. We knew Kenneth Walker was going to run the ball, and we knew that the Seahawks offensive line would get the better of that Broncos front seven. But I was not happy with Geno Smith's performance one bit. And I think that is a problem. I think that is a wedge area in this game. And I think the Pats can keep it close. And I think Seattle wins with a last-minute field goal. That's how I see this coming. Jacoby Brissett, he looked proficient. He looked intelligent. And we got to give him credit. But that Seahawks defense is going to be fighting quite a bit more than that Bengals defense. Give me the Hawks to win, Pats to cover. Next game, Sunday Night Football. We got the Chicago Bears, the Bears, at the Houston Texans. Texans -6.5. Money. Texans to win in the cover. I trust Stroud. I trust D'Amico. I trust the additions. I trust Stephon Diggs. And I got to go with the team I trust. And I told you guys, on Instagram during preseason, I felt like the Caleb Williams hype was out of control. He's holding the ball too damn long, and he could be a liability in this league. Well, my friends, he was a liability against the Titans. I watched that full game. I still have no idea how they got out of there with the dub. So when I'm looking at this game, I just see a Texans defense that will be able to curtail Caleb Williams. I think he will be better this week, but I don't think it's going to be enough to keep up with the Texans. Now, we know the Texans have a great pass game. They have a great quarterback who knows how to lead men. But the thing that impressed me most about the Texans' clinical performance against the Colts was Joe Mixon and their ability to run it. I think a big weak spot of the Bears, and I said it going into last week's game, is their defensive tackle area. I feel like you can run it on them. I feel like you can push them around. And when the Titans are running it on you, I don't know if you want to see a Bobby Slowak, Shanahan type offense with Joe Mixon feeling himself. Give me the Texans to win in the cover, make it a money pick. Do I love laying the 6.5? No, I don't. But I think this is a good situation to go with a team that's made us a lot of money, that is in progression. I see the Texans continuously getting better. Give me the Texans to win in the cover, make it a damn money pick. Next game, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Denver Broncos. Steelers -3. Broncos winning the cover. And if you tell me Justin Fields starts, I'm going to change my opinion. I did not have that information going into last week, unfortunately. And we know how good Mike Tomlin is, and he absolutely took Raheem Morris and that Falcons coaching staff to the proverbial woodshed, like a red-headed stepchild. Like, yes, that's what's happened. And that game was a more dominant performance than the scoreline lets on. I think Sean Payton has something ready for them. And I think the Steelers offense, you need to make big plays, because when you have a Sean Payton offense, you can put whoever at quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, Bo Nix, you can put Trevor Siemian. They're going to be able to generate 20 points. Can the Steelers do that? I don't think so. And home field advantage just kind of faded in the NFL, especially for what we do. Do we factor in as much as we used to? No, not really. But one home field advantage that I highly rate Mile High, man. And I think the Broncos come in, they play good. I'm worried about their defense, but are the Steelers, is Russell Wilson the guy to exploit it? I don't think so. Broncos winning the cover. I like Broncos with the +3. Next game, we got the Los Angeles Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. Rams +1.5. I got Rams to win in the cover, but please follow this injury report for the Rams diligently. We already know Nakua's out. They got 3 offensive line starters injured. Some think they will play, so I'm assuming those offensive line guys will play. This Cardinal secondary isn't up to snub, and they don't really have a pass rush to help them. Like, you got Gardecki, Zavon Collins comes on the speed rush 2 or 3 times a game, and it helps. But I don't think there's enough here to really throw Matt Stafford off. And Matt Stafford is absolutely cooking. Dare I say he's at the prime of his career, even at his old age. So with Cooper Kupp, I think that's enough to generate offense. Now, I know the Cardinals were able to run the ball really well against the Bills. But Kyler Murray made some plays, but I wasn't happy with the pass game. Like, one stat that sums up the Cardinals' pass game was Marvin Harrison Jr. One catch, 4 receiving yards. Where is McBride? You're going to need to use McBride. And I do think this Rams defense is vulnerable. I'm just not sure the Cardinals are in full rhythm, full tilt to exploit that. I think the Cardinals offense will be very good just when we get around week 4, week 5. Rams to win in the cover. Next game, Monday Night Football. We got the Atlanta Falcons at the Philadelphia Eagles. Falcons +6.5. I think this will move up to Falcons +7. I got the Falcons to cover, Eagles to win. There isn't a lot of science here because you guys know I'm high on the Eagles. Although I was worried about some of the plays Hurts made on Friday night in Brazil. But let's just leave that to the other side. I'm going Falcons to cover, but there is no science here. They were not ready for the physicality of that Steelers team. They were not ready for the speed of the game. And everyone wants to blame Kirk Cousins. They weren't able to pass block at all, and they got away from the run game. I felt like their defense played very good, but at the end of the day, there's limiting returns. And my light went off. So make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the videos. The best gambling show on the internet. Slam that like button. Let's get this money. Week 2.